Ladies and gentlemen, yo, what up? What's up, Shannon? Yeah, we're saying what's up to everybody. Hey, I'm not 1,000% happy with my camera lighting. Let me see, we're here. How's everybody doing today? It's Good Friday, y'all. Oh, there we go. There we go. Look a little more like myself. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Share the Live Stream. This might be the end of this beard. This might be the end of this beard. This beard, let me see if I can, this will be the screenshot. This beard has been a beard that was basically started on November 3rd, 2020, in the year 2020. If you guys can remember that 12-year-long year, that actually has kind of trickled into 2021 a little bit. But this beard got started on November 3rd. I shaved. I got all ready to go. Because I was going to have surgery, knee surgery, November 3rd. It was election day, actually, if you remember that day. Everybody was jealous that I was going to be drugged up on election day. And I was like, yo, let's just get this surgery going. You know what I'm saying? Had a surgery. It has gone completely haywire. But I said that I wasn't going to cut the beard until I was able to work out. And as you can see, I still have the beard. So, but now I think we're a little bit past that, right? I think we're past, like, I thought it was kind of going to be a healthy thing. It was a goal. I was actually full bearded, like nothing maintained at all. Like less than this, actually. And I was going to just let it go crazy until I was able to like work out again. I've got an elliptical machine in my garage that my next door neighbor didn't want when she moved out. So I was like, yo, this is going to be my rehab machine. We're going to get going. And all hell can lose. That was 5 months ago tomorrow. 5 months. I've been on crutches. 5 months. I've been in pain. Today has been a painful day. Gracie's protecting the house. But, we're on a project. Someone the other day was like, what do you do to keep your mind going? And I said, I show up for people every day. That's what I do. And there's not a ton that I can do right now. And earlier, even today, I had to take a meeting in bed. I took a meeting on Zoom in bed, kind of a weekly check-in with a friend. And I took it and I had to lay down. And I was like, I'm sorry, I got to do this Zoom meeting in bed right now because I gotta sit up to live stream later on today. And when I do that, I need to be in my chair. So I need to save my sitting vertical time for later on today or at 1:30 when I show up for Share the Live Stream. So just so y'all know, I'm taking meetings in bed so I can be here on time, 1:30 every single day. I say it every day. But part of the reason why we do this show is so that people have something that they can kind of rely on for good news and company. I'm not going to bullshit you or hide behind anything that's going on. I got real things going on in my life. I got real heavy things going on in my life. I love Jesus. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's, up to you. But I'm going to be here with some good news and some company. We're going to have some company every single day, Monday through Friday at 1:30. I'm not 1,000% sure. I'm sure we could eventually find another time, maybe later in the night, maybe 6 o'clock after work, or maybe a little bit earlier so people can actually tune in during lunch. I'm not sure, but I know that right now it's at 1:30 because this is the time. And this time kind of steered me towards over the course of a few different things, few different ways. We are doing this. We're showing up. This is what I can do. This is what I got. So this is what we're doing. And you know what? today I was just signing in, actually, getting ready to do this show, and as I did it, a friend of mine sent me a text, and all I did was read the first line or two of it. But I think I'm gonna read the rest of it right now for y'all online as we go. So a friend of mine said, I don't know why. And I did not read past the first, what you can see is a sample, but I just felt like I was going to read it right now. And maybe this is what we're going to talk about today, because I got nothing. A reminder: pain is not your identity, and suffering is not your life. Still chasing and praying for a breakthrough miracle for you, Joel. Amen. And happy Friday. That's awesome. And that's so appreciated. And that is true. And I'm really glad that I read that right now, because you know what I was just talking about earlier today? I was talking about how today's Good Friday, right? If you call yourself a follower of Jesus or a Christian or whatever it is, I just want to say that I follow Jesus. That's kind of it. I don't even want to be called a Christian, to be honest. I think once you call yourself a Christian, all of a sudden maybe it makes people think that you don't struggle or you don't have problems, or you got to kind of act like everything's all good all the time. And the good news today is that you don't. First of all, I mean, that's the first bit of good news, is that you don't got to fake nobody. And maybe being a Christian carries a little bit more stigma, weight. I can't really tell exactly what it is. I ain't being sacrilegious. You can call yourself whatever you want. I just love Jesus, and I know it's me. But today, according to what I believe, this might not be what you believe, and that's totally fine. But according to what I believe, today is the day that we celebrate. We celebrate pain today. So I feel like maybe that's why I have a little bit extra pep in my step. If you saw the show yesterday, I did not have pep in my step at all. I kind of barely made it to show up. I kind of barely made it to show up yesterday at all. And I forgot to start the music. If you are tuned in right now, there's a couple different ways you can tune in. Most people are tuning in on Instagram, which is interesting. And I kind of wish there was a better way for me to share on Instagram. But right now, the way that that Instagram is set up, it's not that easy to share to a live stream. Share Instagram to a live stream, or share a live stream to Instagram and to multiple things. So right now, where I'm set up, and actually kind of a catch-all for all the shows, is our YouTube page and our Facebook page. So right now on Facebook, every single day, you'll be able to tune in after the show ends. You'll be able to tune into the show at any point in the day if you want to. This is episode 15, which is pretty cool. We've done 15 episodes. That means 3 weeks, because we air from Monday to Friday, 1:30 till whenever. Normally it's 30, 45 minutes. We've gone an hour and 10 before. But we're just creating space. We're showing up. We're trying to be obedient with and showing up with what we got, right? I don't have a ton of things in the world right now, but I have time. I have space. I have the ability to show up for people. I have the ability to take prayer requests. I have the ability to generate prayer requests, to pray, to kind of say, hey, maybe you're someone that believes in Jesus. Maybe you're not someone that believes in Jesus. And both those things are fine. What I promise here is good news and company. Someone to be here, you know what I'm saying? Something to maybe keep if you're in a space where you need some background noise. Hey, I'm a background noise kind of person. But the three ways that you can watch the show: Instagram, but Instagram is a little bit limited. You can't actually see you can't hear the music that I got going on in the background. I promise that's only going to get better once I kind of get a few things figured out, growing kind of my Facebook following. You apparently, once you make partner, you can play music, like your own music. So I can't wait to start sharing kind of what my own music is, and just having some fun with the stream, and basically just showing up for people. And I really want to build a community around this space. What I'm doing bigger than that, this is an effort in the same vein of share share the ministry, share the nonprofit, share the small business, whatever and however it ends up developing. I just want this to be a place for people for good news and company, right? I just want to show up for people. I want to make sure that people know that they're not alone. God was very specific with me a few times. I've been saying, you're not alone, you're not alone, you're not alone, you're not alone, you're not alone all my life. Literally since Twitter, early Twitter, I was tweet, you're not alone. Because I've always kind of felt like it was a reminder that I needed and that maybe some others needed. And now I'm going to prove it. That's the thing that shifted here. Gone from an idea that you're not alone to now I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove that you're not alone, and I'm going to show up, and I'm putting my hand up if you're a person that needs prayer, if you're a person who needs someone to binge watch a movie with or binge watch a series with. I don't care. Whatever it is, if you got an idea, hopefully I'll be able to do that with you. And we're also going to start doing something called Therapy, which is kind of a one-on-one type scenario where I start to kind of take a group of people that want to share, that are kind of avid or adamant about or in a good place for themselves to share about themselves. And I want to pair them up with someone that might have similar things going on. So maybe I might share with a single father or a person that's to battle depression, or and I'm not saying that anyone's ever really got it figured out, but I kind of want to start creating a structure where there's some one-on-one team ups going on where people can hold personal and separate personal space for each other. But kind of back to the topic for today, a reminder. It's funny, Rachel Blau, because I know you're going to watch this show. You know what I'm saying? And I'm leading off with what you just sent me, not to put you on blast or out there like that, but a reminder, pain is not your identity and suffering is not your life. First of all, I appreciate that so much because, when you're in pain every single day, when you're starting to have to take meetings in bed because you're not feeling well, and I know that I'm on the clock right now for how long I can sit up vertically before I end up. I didn't even make my bed today. I've been making my bed for this stream lately. I didn't even make my bed because you know what's gonna happen as soon as I'm done. I'm crawling right back in that thing. I'm gonna watch there's a tournament on, and not a March Madness. Okay, this is gamer nerd stuff. I'm a gamer. Okay, I'm a gamer. There's not a lot of things I can do in the world right now, but I'm not even that good at it. I was about to say, but I can shred. I can't shred, but I'm getting better at it. But anyways, there's a tournament going on right now. And a bunch of guys are playing Warzone in like a bracket and all this stuff. And so I'm going to watch that for a little while, and I'm going to zone out, and I'm going to jump right back in that bed because right now, since my knee thing has turned into a leg thing, turned into a sciatic thing, turned into a CRPS thing, it's really good for me to be straight, lay down. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm on the clock. And while I'm on the clock and while I'm thinking about pain and the fact that pain seems to be the thing that dictates my moves, whether or not I can leave. I can't go to church right now because I can't sit up long enough to, in those hard chairs. And it feels sometimes like it becomes an identity. And I think that not just about what I've realized, and what I think has been just fascinating is that I realized that pain, emotional pain and physical pain are so closely related that it's eerie how closely related they are. When you walk through, as I walk through physical pain, the very interesting thing is, and I can't remember if I said this out loud or if I said this to my mom, but I said, Ma, I worked for years and years and years on myself, my emotional pain. I would drink myself to sleep. Truly. This is the part where the music starts sounding like it's the keys in the background of someone telling a sad story. It's like perfectly sad right now. You can't hear it on Instagram, but it's like bloom, 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 and bloom, 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 bloom. Anyways, and it's not on purpose. It was supposed to be lo-fi music. But anyways, there's a place where with physical pain, you begin to kind of you begin to feel like it is the dictator. And it's very interesting that I come out of a season where, you know, COVID didn't knock me on my ass, right? What knocked me on my ass, because COVID was like the beginning of COVID hitting for me was like a cap on years of emotional healing. It was like everything got tied up into finally it all came together, and it was like, oh, you've been going through all the emotional stuff that you've been going through for your whole life. You went through the emotional abuse as a child, the physical abuse as a child. You went through the emotional trauma of seeing your mom beat. You went through seeing people murdered. You went through college completely just checking out of all of that, to checking into service industry where you could actually serve people every single day and drink yourself to sleep every single night for decades. So you actually felt like you had purpose in the day. Well, it was nighttime normally when I worked, but you had purpose while you were awake. And then you were in so much pain emotionally that you drink yourself to sleep every night. And I just put a cap on that season. The beginning of COVID, what it let me do. No, first of all, like I think I've had like 3 drinks in 2021. You know, now what the temptation is to pop pills to solve my pain. And don't worry, that's not winning. But what I thought was really interesting is that what COVID did at the very beginning, what it did and what it felt like it was doing was it was starting to say, you know, you are passing that chapter. You're past the chapter. You not past the chapter, but now you can take those chapters, that chunk of your life, and you can turn to the people that are seeing their worlds fall apart for the first time with this global pandemic hitting and things coming up that people had not had a chance or an opportunity to ever look at. And you have been looking at these things for the last 10 years. You have been working through these things for the last 10 years. You've been overcoming your dependence on alcohol for the last 10 years. You have been working through forgiving your father for the last 10 years. You have been working on spiritual growth for the last 10 years, depending on God for what you need instead of Joel. Instead of being the fixer, you depend on the fixer. And you've been doing all these things and look like this is what it's been for. And then racial reconciliation hit the world. Well, it started to maybe think about hitting the world. And that's the best I'll give it. That we went through the season this past summer where it was almost like we started to. I'm sorry, I'm not a cynic. I'm a stupid optimistic person. But I don't believe that I believe that we've scratched the surface. I believe that because I'm a person that I have grown up in the hood and existed in, Black culture, white culture, rich culture, poor culture, highly Christian bullshit culture, highly Christian actually get it culture. I've existed in all those. The dynamics of my life and just the things I've witnessed have been enough to give me kind of a perspective that says, I grew up in a house where my father preached during the day, saved people during the day. And I really do believe that God used him to save people. He used a donkey, for God's sakes, in the Bible. And so why wouldn't he use my ass of a dad? You know what I'm saying? Like I watched him save people during the day, and I watched him abuse us at night. I watched him preach during the day, steal money at night. I watched it, right? And then I watched my mom with some real Jesus in her, some real forgiveness in her, some real this is the way in her. Here's the way. Let me show you the way in her. Some real reliance on scripture in her. And so I got to see hypocrisy at its finest in my house. I've got to hear, I've been behind the scenes in every culture. And I've kind of got an idea how they think about the other culture too. And so it didn't surprise me that the cap, a major cap, bookmark, maybe, chapter shift, maybe. I don't know what exactly to call it. Haven't gotten there yet. But a transition happened towards the beginning of COVID. It was not a surprise to me that I was without trying. I was in conversation with people that were at the end of their rope. It was miraculous how many people God sent me that were at the end of, and still sends me, that were at the end of their rope in the middle of COVID. In the middle of COVID, in the middle of a breakup, in the middle of an injury, in the middle of all these different things that were just built up, and infidelity. I mean, everything. And somehow they were finding me. And somehow because of all these crazy things that I had gone through in life, I had an opportunity to at least space. I think there's even a way to hold space. Sometimes you got to hold space for people and shut the hell up. Sometimes you got to hold space for people and you got to say, I was there. Sometimes you got to hold space for people and the last thing they want you to say is I was there. Sometimes you just got to show up, and God was letting you show up, and man, he was letting me show up. And I felt like this is not just, this is the start of my ministry. I felt like he was very specifically, you've been in ministry for a long time. You've been in ministry for a while. You're just getting the opportunity to like walk with some people closely and walk them away from the ledge, to the point where he's allowed me to say or think or understand at least 8 people in the last like 6 to 10 months. I've been able to walk away from the edge. It's been incredible. And how interesting is it that 5 months ago, I went in for a standard procedure where I would grow my beard out for a few weeks and work out in 6 weeks. And then my emotional pain would shift to physical pain. And a new chapter would begin. And that chapter, and there's no two ways about it. That chapter has been, someone asked me the other day, is this the hardest time that you ever had in your life? And I said, yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Zero doubt. Without flinching. And I also, and you know what's crazy? The craziest part about it is I thank God for it every single day. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. I'm over it. I'm over the spiral that happens when you're in pain for so long that you start to think that you're going crazy. And then I'm tired of like having the days or the moments or the hours or the minutes. I don't go day by day anymore. I kind of go like half day, quarter day by half day, quarter day. So I could wake up in the morning and just feel awful. And by the time I finish doing the show, I'm feeling good enough to face the rest of the day. Or I could feel great in the day, and then just sitting and doing the show, I could feel awful for the rest of the night. You know what? Either way, it is what it is. I have a task to do, and I'm going to do my task, and I'm going to show up the way I'm showing up. But you know what's important for me to remember, like my friend said, a reminder: pain is not your identity, and suffering is not your life. And it's exactly what I needed to hear today. And you know what else? And it literally is a bookmark. I feel like sometimes God speaks to me. He starts one message with one person and finishes with a message with another person. And I'll tell you one quick story about that is completely unrelated to pain, and it's only related to joy as far as I'm concerned. I was in the middle of breakup. I was in the middle of a breakup with this girl. Seriously. I was breaking up with this girl. Yes, I used to date back in the day. I was in the middle of a breakup with this girl. And this is how I know. This is how God talks to me. I don't know how God talks to you. I don't know if you believe in God, but maybe, paying attention to some of the signs or listening to some of the things that someone else goes through, maybe that ties something together for you. Because there's a myriad of ways. There's repetition that I know that he's used. I know a friend of mine who he kind of shows up in numbers with numbers. You know, she's a two fanatic, and when she sees two, she knows that God's involved, especially when the timing, and she can kind of evaluate the timing. Alexandria, shout out to Alexandria, loves twos. 222 is her number. There's scriptures, multiple scriptures in the Bible that are for her that are 222. And so, but for me, what will happen sometimes is that someone will start a sentence and someone else will end a sentence. Now, it takes I think for me, it takes awareness for me to catch it. I don't think I catch it all the time. I know I don't. It's impossible for me to catch it all the time, but it takes awareness. But God's made me an aware-ish kind of person. I pay attention. I pay attention to signs. I don't take any of those kind of things for granted. I kind of say like, oh, okay, well, it's impossible for me to have been in that place in that time talking to that person. It had to be God ordained, right? So I'm a person that kind of likes solving puzzles or solving it, and God knows that about me. So for me, he'll start a conversation with one person and end it with another. I was in the middle of a breakup, and I hope I remember my point. Pain, suffering. This particular text message coming right now, and a conversation I had earlier today. All right, got it. So don't forget Diana conversation, Rachel conversation. That's what we got to get back to after I tell you this sidebar story. And by the way, yes, I have ADD, and it's perfect for shows like this because I can just ramble and fill up time with the tangents that my mind runs off on. Anyways, I was in this breakup, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to marry this girl at this time. I mean, in the most unchristian way, I had said it. I would never marry a girl who doesn't love God. And actually, she didn't just not love God. She hated God. And so I had already decided, and I stayed in a relationship. But then it just blew up. We blew up. It was just a series of things that just kind of happened. That was like, yo, I'm done. Well, she was a great drinking buddy of mine. You know what I'm saying? Like we had a lot of things in common, industry stuff. You know, we were in service industry together. Like we worked together, and I was just like, I can never be with someone that hates God. You know, and in the most unchristian way, I communicated that possible. And you know, so don't ever hear me say that. Don't ever hear it and be like, yo, he's a good person, because I say some terrible things sometimes, and this is one of those days. I was just like, I was just on a million. You know, I was the opposite of Jesus that day. And so breakup happens, and I go to church. I went to Park Community at the time. I go to church, and I never actually come down and ask for prayer. And for some reason, whatever this particular day, I go down and I ask for prayer, and I say to the pastor, Jackson Crum. Jackson Crum, I think he founded Park Community. Now he's retired and living the life in Israel. He's a big history nerd. And so he gets to travel the world and go walk where Jesus walked. Like, what a life. Well, come on. And I just know he's living it. But Donna, his wife. Anyways, I go down there and just randomly run into the lead pastor, and I tell him, you know, I just broke up with this girl, and I don't understand why my heart is so torn about it. I know it's the right thing. She doesn't love Jesus. She doesn't love God. She hates God. I remember saying that to him. And she's done some things to me that I just don't think I can forgive her for. And he looks at me and he goes, well, thank God that God does not hold a grudge against us for how we've broken his heart. And I was like, that's a good point. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times? And it was something along the lines of like, how many times have you broken God's heart? How many times have you done something that you know you're not supposed to do to somebody else, that you know good and well you're not supposed to do to somebody else, but you still do it? You still take advantage of a situation. You still participate in the acts that you know you're not supposed to be participating in, right? And so he started that conversation. And then a few days later, I was at the club I was running. I was bartending that night. And actually, she was bartending that. No, I was managing that night. She was bartending. And I was like, nah, man, like, it's a wrap, bro. Like, it's a wrap with me and her. It's a wrap, you know? And he looks at me, completely different person. You know what I'm saying? One of my AC, one of my best friends to this day. And, me and him have a ton of things in common, grew up kind of in the church, been hurt by the church, had real hard times, like growing up. He grew up in the hood, did a bunch of stupid stuff. I did a bunch of stupid stuff, whatever. We got a lot. We're basically like service industry dudes that kind of like made it through the hood, out the hood, kind of, but still had the hoods in us and then love Jesus at the same time. So like it's wild, all the things we had in common, probably why we're still best friends to this day, or that we're just common about our story. I mean, we would sit at the end of the night and drink a bottle of Jameson together and talk about how good God was. It was wild. Like we leave smacked out of our minds. That was a place called Celebrity. And then we went and then we did a couple other things. Then we went and started working over at Le Passage and we started running Le Passage together. I was a GM. He was my head of security. And I mean, we'd sit there till like 9 a.m, multiple bottles of Jameson, sometimes smacked out of our mind. We'd be like leaving work at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, our club closed at 5. But we just be sitting there talking about how good God was, what we knew God was going to have us do in the future. I wish I could just turn off calls. I don't want calls to come in through when I'm doing lives. But we'd be sitting here talking about all these things that we knew God was going to use us for in the future. And it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be a surprise if we started a church one day. Seriously, that was a conversation that we would have while we're doing shots of Jameson, right? And so that was 10, 15 years ago. And so anyways, this particular night, I'm sitting here having a conversation with AC. And I'm like, man, nah, bro, it's a wrap. Like, you don't understand. It's a wrap. And he's like, no, bro, it's not. And I was like, what do you mean it's not? Me and him, sometimes it's just like, what? You don't even know what you're talking about. And he'd do the same thing with me. But this was my turn. Man, you don't even know what you're talking about. And he was like, it's not. He was like, I don't feel like it's me saying it. And I was like, come on, man. Come on, man. That's actually something that I would have said. Come on, man. And he was like, how many times has God forgiven you for things that you've done to him? And I was like, that's literally what my pastor at the church said the other day. And this was a Sunday that I was at church, and this is a Tuesday night. I'll never forget. Like, she worked on Tuesday nights. And so, being the super Christian asshole that I went back over to Melissa, who I had reminded prior to this conversation, I had reminded that we were not getting back together, period. And I went back to her. She was actually crying in the DJ booth. She had gone back to the DJ booth to wipe her eyes from the fact that I had just a few moments earlier said, don't worry, we're never getting together. We're never getting back together, period. And I walked back there and I was like, all right, fine. I don't know why, but God wants me to be back with you. That's what I said. This is the gracious human being I was at the time. And I was like, I don't know why, but God has told me to come back to you for some reason. And we got back together. And then we broke up again. And then we got back together and then we broke up again. But either way, without a doubt, had that not happened, the most amazing blessing that we've both shared, our little girl, would not be. This is my daughter's mom. We have become best friends. Like, we have become people who count on each other through it all. We've been I may be the only person in the world on earth that can speak directly into her soul. I mean, her best friend Jackie also there for sure, 100%. But there are very few people that are close enough that can speak directly into her soul. And there are very few people in this world that I count on beyond counting on other than her. And that all means nothing in comparison to the fact that we made the most amazing human being, our child, through this back and forth story, through the ways that God speaks to me. And thank God he just brought it back to me why I started the story. I started it because it's not a coincidence that pain is not your identity and suffering is not your life. It was sent to me moments after earlier today. I had a conversation from bed. I told you about it. I told you that before I even read this quote, I said, I was in bed when I had to take my meeting earlier today. My time where I share with a friend of mine, Diana, every single Friday, 11:30. Both of us have had to cancel in the last 2 weeks because of pain. Her in pain, me in pain. So pain was a big part of our conversation today. Pain was a huge part of our conversation today. The pain that she's been in, the pain that her husband's been in, the pain that I am in. And the very last thing we did was we prayed. And when we prayed, it was almost as if it began to pale in comparison. It began to sink in, that we're in the middle. We're in the middle of a day that celebrates pain. I'm in the middle of a day that celebrates pain and suffering. You understand? I am in pain and suffering. My friend earlier was in pain and suffering. My friend has reminded me that pain and suffering is not my identity, but it doesn't have to be my identity. It's not my identity. It's just part of my story. I can overcome the thoughts and the emotions and the feelings and the heartbreak and the pain and suffering that come with my own physical experience when I take a step back and I celebrate the pain and suffering that God sent his son to the world. You understand? I have a daughter, and there's no way that I would let my daughter suffer. There's no way that I would send her into suffering. There's no way that I would send her into pain and agony. And today we celebrate a day of ultimate suffering and ultimate agony. And again, I know that there's people that watch this. I know the people that are kind of like listening that don't believe this, and that's fine. You're welcome to hear just how I think. You're welcome to hear just how I feel. You're welcome to just listen and pay attention. I don't judge you. I'm not going to try to convince you. I don't have to do any work when it comes to changing your mind about what you think. All I have to do is talk about the way that my life has been changed. All I have to do is talk about the way that my pain can be converted into salvation. My pain can be turned into hope. And there's not a better story of it. There's not a better story of pain being converted to hope than what we're experiencing in these 3 days. There's not a better story. There's not a better person that's ever written about it. There's not a better fictitious book. There's not a better documentation of these 3 days and the pain and the agony that people felt across this world, or people felt across the world, Jerusalem at the time, right? And that's the extent of the world at the time. There's not as great as our pain is today. As great as our pain is today, as fabric tearing as our pain is today, as hard as it is for us to to watch this trial this week. As hard as it is for us to ponder, what is it? What can I do to help? As painful as it can be to suffer physical or emotional or spiritual pain, as painful as all those things, there's nothing that could ever come close to watching your son be beat beyond recognition, to being punished for something that he didn't do. Matter of fact, the opposite is what he was guilty of. There could not be a greater pain, physical, spiritually, or emotionally, than the pain that we commemorate, that we celebrate on this day, on Good Friday. And my friend Diana said, I heard a great quote, and this is how we're going to end our conversation. It's not just Good Friday, it's Great Friday. And that's it. It's Great Friday, because without that sacrifice, we couldn't celebrate. Without the pain, there could not be freedom. Without a human being, without God coming to earth in the form of a human being and experiencing the same things that we experience, the same indigestion, the same farts, the same walking down the street, the same dirty feet, the same trying to figure out what you got to wear. Like, you have to understand, there was like our God, the God that I celebrate, walked, like my God walked around on earth for 33 years. He figured out what it was to feel like me. He understood what it was to create me. He walked around to figure out what it was to feel like me, to be in pain like me. You know, we don't talk about it, but Jesus walked a whole lot. He had to have pulled a calf or ankle sprain here, and you know what I'm saying? Like, we just because he didn't sin doesn't mean that he was free from all the things that hurt. That because he was a human being, so he hurt. Doesn't mean that he didn't have, like, he didn't eat some bad tacos here and there and have a bad stomach. Like, that's the point. He walked around on earth so that he could basically show us what it was to walk around on earth, to be the example for what it was to walk around on earth, to be human and to be ridiculed and to rise above it, to like take a step back from like, the pettiness that he was able to see, people shooting their shots at him all day, every day. And every single time someone shot at Jesus in the Bible, like, you understand the amount of self-control, because Jesus could have Thanos like wiped that person off the face of the earth if they like insulted him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he, like, all powerful. The person that was sitting there when the stars were made was sitting here being made fun of. And he like actually turned it or flipped it to be, hey, have you looked at it this way? Have you ever thrown a stone at somebody? Have you ever sinned? If you haven't sinned, hey, look, here's the thing. I ain't saying don't stone her, because I know what the law says. I'm just saying, if you've never sinned, throw that stone, throw that rock. If you haven't ever done anything worthy of being ostracized, worthy or short of the kingdom of heaven, go ahead and throw that stone. And Jesus just sat back and just asked the questions that were thought-provoking on a completely different level. He asked the questions that made us think about our own humanity, our own goodness, our own failure, our own shortcomings. And then once we were able to ponder our shortcomings, then somehow we stumbled across forgiveness. Then somehow we stumbled across, like, oh, I get it. Because I'm broken. I really can't be all over someone else who's broken for their brokenness. I got my own story. I have my own things that I dealt with, my own sins and my own temptations. I need to kind of fall back on some of that judgment stuff. And so he had to come to earth and walk around and take skin and take a life form, take skin, so that he could actually show us and model what grace really looked like, what love looked like, and today what pain and suffering looked like, for real. And how even in the middle of the pain and the suffering, beaten beyond recognition was something that was part of the scripture that stood out to me more than anything when I was a kid. I don't know why. Like sometimes you just don't know why certain things like hit the way they do, but I envision, I put myself in when I read anything, much less the Bible, much more the Bible. I put myself into that situation. And so for me, I think about being beaten beyond recognition and then saying, God, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Like, if you didn't know it was him, you wouldn't know it was him. So the amount of pain that had to be physically in his body had to be exacerbating. Plus the way that they hung him up, the way that they strung him up, proven to be the most not just the fashion that they strung him up, but the way that they did the nails were the most painful. And so every single part of it represents, every single part of today represents pain and suffering. And as a person that has been in uh, a season of pain and suffering, I I feel, when I remember the sacrifice, when I remember the pain and suffering that God felt necessary in order to connect us back to him, in order for us to have a way back to our creator, to actually have the conversation. When I pray, I know I'm praying directly to my creator. And I know that because there's been a sacrifice that has forgiven me. There's been innocent lamb's blood shed for me as a sacrifice. So I know that because that's been made, I now have a direct line to the Father. I can be like, "Yo, God, what up? Hey, this is kind of some bullshit, I think." I try not to cuss that much in front of God because, I ultimately respect him, but I also know that he knows who I am. You know what I'm saying? So if I just try to edit my own words, like, what's the point? Like, he knows what I want to say. My goal is that my vocabulary increases, or my vocabulary improves as my relationship improves with God. But some things are just bullshit. And I say that, and I say, God, I'm sorry that I say bad words. But you know that I love you because I talk to you all the time. But the way I can talk to him all the time is because because he knows my pain and suffering. If he didn't know, if I didn't know that he knew my pain and suffering, it'd be probably harder to talk to him. But I don't have that. I have like beaten beyond recognition. You sent your son to earth for me. And so that's how I get a chance to talk to God. That's how I get a chance to pray. That's how I get a chance to have a direct line. And so pain is not my identity. Suffering is not my life, because suffering and pain have gone before me, and then they got quiet, and then they came back to life in the form, and then he came back to life, and then he rolled a stone away, and then he said, "Yo, I'm back." And everything that y'all said, everything that we said is going to come to pass. Not just that, but you have the power that I'm now giving you the power to help and to save and to heal that I had while I was here on earth. And now, bonus, you got the Holy Spirit. So even if you don't even understand what to say, you don't even understand how to, through your groans and your grumbles while you're in the middle of your pain, yo, bonus, here's some bonus. You got the Holy Spirit, the third part of the Trinity. You have the Holy Spirit that will take your concerns and bring them to heaven for you, even if you don't have the energy to do it. And so today is an important day for me because this is the day I say that I want to make sure people know that they're not alone. But this is the day that I know that I'm not alone. And this is how I know that I'm not alone. This is the day that I know that I'm not alone, because it is not foreign to God to suffer. It is not foreign to God to have pain. And because of that, and because of the stillness on the earth, and because on the third day he came back victorious, having beaten death, having beaten sin, having beaten all the things that I'm about to beat. I mean, I'm not going to beat death, ultimately, but I will beat this pain. I will beat the suffering, and then glory will be on the other side. I want to make sure that I am saying these words so that I can archive them and we can show a video one day and be like, yo, you see that? You see how Jordan closed his eyes? He shot the shot knowing that he was going to make that shot. This is where I am today. This is what today means to me. Today is the pain and the suffering and me closing my eyes, shooting a shot and being like, one day it will not be this way. One day glory will come. One day I will walk without a limp. One day your pain will be gone. One day your loneliness will be gone. One day your heartbreak will be healed. And these 3 days, these are the days that let us know that this story in the Bible is what lets us know that this reality that's in the Bible is what lets us know that because God modeled it. You know what I'm saying? And what a love, deity to come to earth and show us, like, all right, look, you might get your ass kicked. There might be some separation, some loneliness, some anxiety, some disconnect, some heartbreak. But at the end, on the other side, when you're on the other side, there's glory, there's happiness, there's peace, there's satisfaction, there's financial freedom. There is the opposite of the thing that is plaguing you on Friday. The opposite comes on Sunday. And I'm not saying like on Sunday as in real days, but on the opposite. You have to understand there's this parallel. There is this, God modeled it for us. He's modeled pain and destruction, quiet and loneliness, and then victory. All in these days that we are celebrating this next few days. And as you celebrate Easter, don't forget that this is a representation. This is the representation that God's modeled for you in your life, for me in my life, for us to be in trauma, to be in pain, to spend time in commemoration, in memory, in healing, in strengthening, and then to overcome. This is something that God has already shown us happens. And so I said it earlier, it's not a coincidence. The way that God talks to me, and he starts a conversation in one place and it ends it in another. And this is yet another day that I did not have a plan on what to say. I got out of bed at 1:19 to start the live stream. I mean, I got it pretty good now. I know exactly what lights to turn on. I know what lights to turn on. I know what, I need to have on the side screen. I know, kind of some of the things that, part of the content is already like, hey, follow the Discord, which is in which is in the comment section, which I have to write the Discord right now. But I have to put the Discord in the screen, which reminds me, I have to put the Discord. If you're not part of our Discord, Discord is basically like an internal communication app, but for a organization. Like this is a lot of streamers use it. Actually, it's in the comment section, and it's also in the should be in the caption of whatever I post for Instagram. I got to put it in my link tree, the Discord link. But you can find it if you go to the Instagram, go to the link that's in my bio. The very first one says share the live stream. You'll be able to find the Discord information in that thing, but I'll add it to the Discord link tree later on today after I lay back down for a little bit. But that Discord is like a place where I'm putting topics for live stream. I'm putting like scriptures and encouragement. Prayer requests are going in there. And I'm talking about your prayer requests. If you have a prayer request, throw it in there. It will be prayed for. I promise. I will make sure that 2 or more are praying for it every single time. Just information about, just information is in there. It's just kind of like a central hub place. Like if you work at a company, they might use Slack, and they have Slack channels. That's what this Discord is like. And then, there's just general topics, serving opportunities, praise reports, quotes, live stream caption I have in there just for myself. Some of the notes and some of the things that are just in my mind, I just want to keep them in one place. And as we build this Discord and this community of people, I love it for people to start dropping praise reports in there, for people to just start dropping prayer requests in there. But that's kind of where it's kind of going to be the hub-ish of a lot of the things for this ministry, nonprofit business organization thing about Bob that we're doing and we're up to. So join that. The link is in the description. If you haven't liked and subscribed on YouTube, I would really love it. I would love it because there's music that I play in the background and stuff like that. So you can watch on IG if that's convenient for you, but you can also watch on YouTube as well. And then eventually we're going to get it to where this is kind of like a radio show. So you can tune in on like an iPhone to like a podcast. So, and that's the goal, is to turn all these into podcast topics and go from there. But I just wanted to, say, I'm going to pray real quick. Thank you, God. Thank you for every single ounce of pain that you've allowed to enter my body, that ultimately I'm praying for those pain feelings to draw me closer, more empathetic to others that I do life with, so that I can understand when someone says, I don't know, Lord, who knows? I don't know. Maybe someday, one day, someone says, hey, I have got a really bad sciatic nerve. Then I can be like, oh man, I understand what that's like. Do you need to Zoom call from your bed? Like whatever it is, God, that you're letting me experience those things so that ultimately I can serve you better, and I can serve you better via your children. That's what it feels like you want me to do, is to serve your kids. I get to be a kid and serve your kids. Like that's such an honor, and that's what I'm hoping for and what I want. I pray, Lord, that we continue to share. I pray that we continue to share, Lord, encourage people to share because they have enough, Lord, and encourage them and let them understand that we're not talking about resources all the time. If it's pain, that, Lord, encourage people to share their pain. If it's stress, encourage people to share their stress. If it's financial need, allow them to share those financial needs. Allow us to be a community that wants to share with each other, Lord, our blessings and our bruises, our pain and our provision. Like let us build that community. Let us be that for each other, and let it grow stitch by stitch, day by day. And I pray that just I always pray for at least one person, Lord, to learn or hear or feel connected or feel like they're not alone based on this time. And so I just pray that there's been one person that connects to this message today. In Jesus' name, amen. And that's it. That's what I got for today. I'm about to lay down and watch some video games. True story. I'm about to lay down and watch some video games. That's what I'm going to do. for the rest of my Friday. Okay. I'm going to watch a video game tournament. I'm excited about it. And I pray that you have a great weekend. And I pray that you guys are finding some place to go to church. If you don't have a church or do have a church or aren't able to attend church, soulcitychurch.com. I know they have services tomorrow at 5 p.m. Tomorrow being Saturday at 5 p.m. There are 4 duplicate services. One tomorrow at 5 p.m. Another one Sunday at 8 o'clock. And I want to say 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. 8, 10, 12. I don't know. Kaylee was just in here a few minutes ago. Maybe she can throw the times in there. But there's 5 identical services. You can find them. And they're showing it on one of the channels, maybe CBS, ABC. I don't know. You can find all that information at soulcitychurch.com. If you don't have a church, you want to hear the message. You want to hear a version of what I just said without cuss words and from a church, then, that you check out soulcitychurch.com. And enjoy that. And you guys have a happy weekend. And remember, tune in somehow, some form of fashion. Like I said, this ends up on our YouTube page. Just search share.space live stream, and you can scroll down. You'll see my big head somewhere. Subscribe to that channel. Or you could go to the Facebook page, and on Facebook, it's facebook.com/we have to share one. And that's what I got. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I'm really happy that we got through 15 episodes of this show. I'm excited to see how far it goes. I'm excited to see what else we can do. I'm excited to see who we can reach, who we can convince that they're not alone. That's really all I want. I just want to convince as many people that they're not alone as possible. I don't really have a metric that I could ever measure that by, but that's what I want. That's what I can feel. That's what I have needed. And I asked for God to give me a ministry that I needed. And so that's the ministry that I needed. I needed to know that a lot over the course of my life, that I wasn't alone. And so I hope that you know that you're not alone. I hope that you know that if there is prayer that you need, that I'm willing to pray with you. If you need a friend to binge watch a TV show with, I will do it with you. I don't have a ton that I can offer right now as far as resources, but if you have a need and you need to bring it to me, I have a big mouth and a decent enough-ish amount of people that listen to me. We could probably raise some funds if it's what you need. I just want people to know that I'm available for them, even though I'm going through the hardest time in my life. What an incredible thing to say, that I still have everything that I need because God's provided it for me. I still have everything I need. Even when I look around and I see this short, that not paid, and I can't, even though I look around and see all that stuff, I know that I have everything I need. And I don't just have everything I need, I have a service to share. And so don't forget to share. And like I said before, I say it every single show, don't forget to share. You have enough. You have, and if it's pain, you have enough pain and you need to share it with somebody. And if it's resources, you have enough resources and you need to share them with someone. And if you have a problem, you have enough problems, share them with someone. And if it's provision, you have enough provision, share it with someone. Buy the person behind you coffee in Starbucks. Just randomly give, not to get. And keep doing it. And it doesn't have to be with me. It doesn't have to be for me. It just has to be. You just have to share. We have to share. There's too much. We have enough. We have enough pain. We have enough provision that we have to share. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm going to lay my butt down right now. And I pray that you guys have a great weekend. Sunday, just anticipate hearing me say on Sunday, He is risen. All right. Y'all have a great weekend. Love y'all. Peace out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all the things. Peace. Bye-bye. Happy Easter.